The Muscatine City Council will come to order. Begin this evening with a roll call. Fran?
Councilmember Graywald.
Here.
Fitzgerald.
Present.
Natick.
Present.
Shahade. Bynum.
Present.
Phillips. Present. Fred.
Present.
6 present and 1 absent, Your Honor.
Very good, Fran. Folks, would you rise and join me in our Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and good evening. We'll begin this evening with item number 4, which is if you have an issue with council that is not included on tonight's agenda and you'd like to talk to us about it, you can please come to the podium, tell us your name and address. Joni?
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Council and everyone else in Council chambers. My name is Joni Axel, and I serve as the Community Program Manager for the Blue Zones Project. And I'm going to ask Fran if she'll pass around something that for the Council to have to look at. Tonight's a really fun night for the Blue Zones Project and the City of Muscatine. There's been a major accomplishment by the City of Muscatine, which is really accomplishment number 2. At the first round, the City of Muscatine became a Blue Zones designated work site. That was quite an accomplishment as well, and that had to do with the workplace here in City Hall and elsewhere. Tonight, we're celebrating the accomplishment of having the City of Muscatine achieve the policies and the built environment Blue Zones changes and Blue Zones approaches that they promised to do at the very beginning. And I'm going to ask Andrew Fangman to come up here because I believe he missed the earlier photograph, which I'm sure you're sorry you did. So if you would step up here, Andrew, we'll just briefly show the council again what the plaque looks like. And it says Muscatine Community has achieved the designation of Blue Zones Community Policy. And that is a very important achievement, and Muscatine is one of the very first second wave communities in the state of Iowa to do so. And thank you, Andrew. You've been very principled person in this. I think everyone would agree. Thank you. I wanted to also say that what the city has accomplished is not just tangible. There's been an awfully lot of intangible parts of our city's accomplishment. And by that I mean it even starts as early as attitude. We're appreciative of the city's leadership and willingness to be a really strong partner. At the beginning, when I came here, I said we're all in this together, and that goes to every school and every restaurant and certainly the city, and you've been exemplary, all of you. And I think even when there have been hesitations, we've gone ahead and tried to do the kinds of things that make our community much improved in well-being and health. So I'm very, very pleased about that. When you look at the report that's in front of you, you will see that we are cheering loudly, although I'll be more demure here on TV. But we're cheering loudly because Muscatine Blue Zones Project has reached 100% of its certification goals. Now that means we're not certified yet, but we're prepared to talk with the state team and say, come on in and come over for a few days and see how far we have come along and how we have accomplished all of our designated work sites and restaurants, grocery stores, city, schools, and a number of other things. So if you'll all of that is listed on the handout that I gave you with specifics. We are poised to become a certified Blue Zones community. That will be for the entire community, and we expect to see that before the end of our what we call our operating period, which is July 30th. The Blue Zones Project is not going away, by the way. It's just going to have a little different form after July 30th. So enjoy the report, and we'll have more to say about that as we move along. I also wanted to thank Greg Monsager, the mayor, all of you council people who have been so very, very helpful and patient both for my pretty much persistent remarks here and also all of the staff. So that includes all of the people who've worked really hard. Thank you very much on behalf of the Blue Zones Project team and on behalf of the community. Be glad to answer any questions if you have any.
Council?
Thank you.
Thank you, Joni. Is there a Larry C. in the audience this evening?
Yes,
Please.
I'd like to be represented by my counsel, please.
You have 3 minutes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I represent Larry C. I'm a local attorney licensed by the state of Iowa. I wanted to begin by comparing the notice of abatement that brings us here tonight with the city ordinance itself. In the notice directed to Mr. C., it talks about junking some vehicles on the subject property. I pulled the city ordinance off your website yesterday, and with regarding to vehicles, it talks about motor vehicles. In the Iowa Supreme Court has defined a motor vehicle being self-propelled. Now, admittedly, I have not been to the subject property, but Mr. C. did provide me some photographs. With your permission, I'd like to distribute to the members of the city council. If you could pass them along, or I could hand them out one by one.
I have a mess here.
Very
as well.
good. The problem with the city ordinance, as I see it as an attorney with 32 years of experience, is that your ordinance is vague. It doesn't tell anyone what is expected of them. The Iowa Supreme Court has weighed in on such matters many times. And I'll just briefly summarize what the Iowa Supreme Court's position is. The Supreme Court assumes that a man is free to steer between lawful and unlawful conduct, so they insist that laws give the person of ordinary intelligence a reasonable opportunity to know what is prohibited so that he may act accordingly. Vague laws trap the innocent by not providing fair warning. Second, if arbitrary and discriminatory enforcement is to be prevented, laws must provide explicit standards for those who apply them. Your ordinance must give a person of ordinary intelligence fair notice of what is prohibited and provide an explicit standard for officers enforcing it. I'm assuming the city is proceeding on the basis that the parked campers and trailers, boat trailers and the like, are prohibited motor vehicles. They're not motor vehicles. If the city wants to prohibit people from parking trailers and things of that nature on their property, then the ordinance should say so. It does not. There are some other items on the property, as your photographs will show. Maybe junk to some and items of value to other. Your ordinance does not tell Mr. C or anyone else in the city what is prohibited. And so we ask that you strike the notice to abate. Mr. C, on his part, is willing to go in and tidy up the property, maybe move the trailers closer together, line them up, stack some of the items neatly, and mow the grass. But my position as an attorney, been doing this for 32 years, is that your ordinance as written is too vague to enforce as against Mr. C. And if I have time for any questions, I'm willing to take them.
Council? No questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item number 5, consent agenda.
Just to clarify, there's no action required by council to uphold or affirm the appeal. There would be affirmative action required to uphold the appeal, but there is no action required to affirm the appeal.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Greg. Item 5, consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes items 6A, items 8A through P, items 9A through C, filing of communications, which is 12A through C, and tonight's bills totaling $1,474,894.69.
So moved, Your Honor.
That was Tom.
Second, Your Honor.
Second, Bob. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Okay, down to item 11 from the city administrator. Presented for city council's consideration is a resolution setting a public hearing on amendment number 2 to the 2013-2014 city budget. This proposed amendment will increase total budgeted expenditures for the city by $1,115,800, with budgeted transfers to increase by $121,700 for a total expenditure change of $1,237,500. City budgeted revenues are proposed to be amended by $139,900, which includes $121,700 of funding transfers in. Prior formal action by City Council, a public hearing is required. This hearing will be held on Thursday, May 15th, 2014 at 7 p.m. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Scott?
Okay.
And a second? A second?
Second.
Okay, Tom. Any discussion, council? This is a roll call vote, beginning with Scott.
Aye.
Phil.
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
Tom.
Aye.
Jeanette.
Aye.
And Bob.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. Item B, presented for city council's consideration is a resolution awarding general obligation corporate purpose bonds, Series 2014. The deadline for submitting bids on the bonds is 10 a.m. on May 1st, 2014. The bond issue includes funding for the local share of the reconstruction projects for Cedar and Colorado Streets, the local share of airport improvement projects, library elevator improvements, and the purchase of equipment for the city's ambulances. At this time, the city's financial advisor for this issue will review the bids received and make a recommendation for the award of the issue. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Tom? Second. Second, Jeanette. Any discussion? Okay.
2 weeks ago, we set today as the bid opening date, and we did receive, and since that time, we've gone through the Moody's rating for the bond issue. A lot of material we presented them in a telephone call, probably at least an hour long, and we were able to maintain our AA2 bond rating. We're very pleased with that. This morning, we did receive bids on the bonds. We received 9 bids, and Suzanne Gerlach from Public Financial Management, our financial advisor, is here to review those bids and make comments on the issue and answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Nancy. I'm happy to report, as Nancy mentioned, that the city's bond rating was affirmed. Moody's recently modified their general obligation rating criteria, their methodology. which has resulted in some rather high-profile downgrades you may have seen in the media lately in the state of Iowa. So we were very, very pleased that the city of Muscatine was able to maintain their AA2 rating. And just in summary, I'll read just a brief summary of the rating rationale from the Moody's report. The AA2 rating reflects the city's stable, moderately sized tax base located along the Mississippi River, trend of balanced financial operations and improving reserve levels, an average debt burden, and a moderate exposure to unfunded pension liability. The credit strengths are considered to be a stable economy with low unemployment and sound financial management with improving reserve levels. So congratulations to the city on maintaining a very, very good credit rating level. If you're not familiar, the highest rating level is a AAA. That is the highest given by Moody's to a municipality, and it steps down to a AA1, AA2 where the city is rated, AA3, single A1, single A2, single A3, and then B1, AA, and below, which is where no one wants to be. So congratulations. 2 steps down from AAA, so you are 2 steps away from the highest rating, so congratulations on that. And I believe that is part of the reason the city received 9 bids for the bonds today. That is that's a very high number of bids. Normally we see 4 to 5 bids, so again, that suggests that the strong credit strength of the city and the bank qualification were very desirable in the market. The winning bid was received from UMB Bank with strong participation from 2 local banks. Community Bank and Trust and Central State Bank participated in the bidding process with UMB. And the 8 other bids, the second place, the runner-up, the cover bid as we call it, was received from D.A. Davidson out of Denver, Colorado, with 34 bids in total, submitting a bid either in group, in syndicate, or individual bids. So very strong demand, and I'm pleased to report that the winning bid came in at 1.79% as a TIC. So to be able to borrow $2.5 million for 10 years at less than 2% is tremendous. So at this time, if there's any questions by the council, I'd be happy to answer anything.
That was less than anticipated, wasn't it, the interest rate?
Yes, we had estimated right around 3%. And that 3% estimation was done back in January so the city could prepare for a pre-levy to include this bond issue in the fiscal 15 budget. And at that time, MMD overall has recovered I think on average, like 40 basis points since January. And in addition to that, we had built in 75 basis points, 0.75%, depending on what market would move between January and May 1st. So
I think, Nancy,
much
you
better
were,
rates than expected.
last meeting, you said 2.78 was something like that,
Yes.
in that range, yeah.
So very, very pleased with the rates today.
It's good news for the city, and a lot of people's efforts went into being able to get this kind of a rate, that's for sure.
Anyone else, council? Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? And beginning with Tom.
Aye.
Jeanette.
Aye.
Bob.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. Item C, presented for City Council's consideration is a resolution endorsing airport projects and certifying the availability of matching funds. As a part of the state's airport funding through the Iowa Department of Transportation, cities are required to take action officially endorsing airport improvements and certifying that they have local matching funds to meet the 15% local share. It does not commit the city financially to move forward on projects. As with other airport projects, City Council must specifically approve each project grant agreement during the respective fiscal year it is being programmed and following a state and/or federal determination that funding is available. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So move.
I'll give that to Mike in a second. Bob,
Second.
any discussion? Beginning with Mike.
Done.
Aye.
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 Motion carries 6-0. Item D, Presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve a professional services agreement with Anderson Bogart for engineering and/or land surveying services at the municipal airport. The city continues to utilize Anderson Bogart for design and consultant services at the airport. Staff is recommending City Council approve the agreement for the period beginning May 1st, 2014 for activities included in the 5-year CIP for the airport. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved.
Jeanette? And a second?
Second.
Second, Scott?
I have a question, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
What's the history on using Anderson Bogart? Why do we use them and not
Steve?
someone else?
Actually, Anderson Bogart's been our engineer at the airport for 20-some years now. We are required by FAA guidelines to go out for consultant selection periodically on projects that exceed a certain threshold. We have done that. They have permitted us to do it for a 5-year period based on our CIP, as opposed to the capital improvements program, as opposed to each element, because you'd be constantly out for this. So we have just gone through that for this next 5-year cycle, and we had 4 submittals. We had an evaluation of those, and we had 2 good candidates, one of which was Anderson Bogart, the other one was a firm out of Ankeny. And when it was finally weighed out and the decision was made, there was really no pressing reason to change from Anderson Bogart. They were both on a level playing surface, and since they have been with us so long, they have all the background knowledge and can hit the ground running with these projects. This is a little different agreement with them, frankly. We will have them by task coming back with their fee structure, and we have just completed a fee analysis, which is required by the FAA to confirm that the fee schedule is appropriate, as it will be reviewed with each project. But we're going to call them tasks as we move forward. If you look at the CIP, and I think you received that, as you get that, the first task is going to be coming to your next meeting with their engineering agreement to provide those services. But in short, we've been pleased with them. The Airport Advisory Commission is pleased with them. We had a meeting with the State Division of Aviation and the FAA representatives last week. I think it's safe to say that they have a comfortable working relationship with both the city and Anderson Bogart, so we're confident we have the right team to move forward.
Thank you.
Anyone else, council? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Item E. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve an agreement with Martin and Whitaker for design of a Geneva Creek Bank stabilization project. The city administrators, the Geneva Creek levee system, which protects the Heinz plant on Isaac Avenue. The levee system was assigned an unacceptable, The levee system was assigned an unacceptable rating by the USAC, USACE, and channel shaping is required to correct the problem. The work required is beyond the scope of city forces. A proposal has been received from Martin and Whitaker to perform the topographic survey, prepare structure plans, perform construction staking, and assist in construction observation for a fee of $5,270. Construction is expected to begin July 2014. Staff is recommending the issuance of a purchase order to Martin and Whitaker in the amount of $5,270. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Phil, and a second?
Second.
Second, Tom. Any discussion?
Just a quick question for somebody, John. At this point, do you have any estimate on what the project?
Well, we had budgeted a number around 50,000 for that as far as a project total. What we're going to do is there's excavation work involved with the project. There's some debris and dirt to get sediment to get out from underneath the bridge, and we wish to line the channel after it's reshaped with broken concrete that we have down in our lower lot So we're not gonna purchase new stone to put on that. We're gonna use recycled material for that to keep the cost down. And the reason to stabilize the channel with that is so that we don't have to come back in 10 years and do the same project all over again. The reason for the project is that the creek has shifted from one bank to the other, and the water doesn't line up going underneath the bridge, and it's causing debris to get jammed up underneath the bridge. We have to correct that.
Anyone else, council?
Thank you, gentlemen.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. It is now time for communications, council members, beginning with Councilman Raywall.
I have something to mention. This is, not the usual neat, orderly way in which we usually do things, but the interest rate we got on this bond sale just begs the question, what projects do we have coming up next year that we ought to take advantage of this interest rate right now, which is never going to get any better? Is this the time to borrow some money to move some projects up? Like, city administrator, let us know about that at the next meeting, huh?
Talk about it next week.
Kind of like Mulberry.
All
Mulberry.
sorts.
Well, Mulberry's got SDP federal funding. That's
Oh, okay.
2016. Most of our projects are programmed for certain years.
I know.
It'd be an unprogrammed project with no outside funding.
I just wonder what the sense of the council is that this interest rate is just almost too good to believe, Tom.
You're right, interest rates continue to be historically low. We've watched the Fed go through its tapering, and it still hasn't impacted the market. So, I don't have a crystal ball that says what rates will be a year from now, but I don't imagine they're going to be a whole lot higher if they move at all. Yeah. But
Colleagues?
Well,
The
Greg
bond
and
rate
Nancy,
is
haven't we
important.
tried to, every 2 years, and we've tried to level out the total expenditures just from a budgetary standpoint, so that's part of it. But I see what Councilman Raywald's saying,
We've tried to keep the levy rate stable.
yeah.
We're level, so that you don't see fluctuations in the overall levy. An increase would obviously affect the tax rate. But most of those large projects that we have, I noted a minute ago, are programmed for a date certain in order to receive those federal funds. So it would, in my mind, you'd want to take a look at the capital improvements plan and look at projects that don't have funds, outside funds targeted. Soccer complex, band shell, the University of Iowa student projects that are on the table. Museum, Art Center, City Hall, so.
Anything else?
I think last year, didn't Nancy come to us and tell us that we should purchase that fire engine early?
Out of the existing fund balance.
Yeah, but I think that came from her.
Anything else, Mike?
No, just Nancy's got more than enough to do now. Thank you very much.
Phil?
Nothing at this time, Your Honor.
Scott?
I have nothing, thank you. Bob?
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Jeanette?
I really appreciate the cleanup week. We took stuff down and put it out. We started early, and it disappeared within 15 minutes. So a couple days later, we thought, okay, we'll do it again. So we did it again. My gosh, disappeared again. So it's at our house, I guess they call it recycling.
City staff was really on the ball, weren't they?
They were.
Yeah, just swoop down, pick that stuff
Really
up,
did.
boom, every 15
And
minutes.
especially on a Saturday.
Tom?
I have nothing this evening, Your Honor.
Greg?
I'm sure Laura will have a nice presentation with totals for us. We did see an inordinate amount of tires this year. Projects are moving smoothly, other than the one issue we had on Cedar Street, and if the weather holds out, project will continue to move smoothly. moving next to the high school on Cedar Street. End of May, June, after school gets out.
Fran? I have nothing. Any other business, council? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Meeting is adjourned.
This is you, right? And then